Back on Speed Street. Welcome back. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Connor Daly, Joey Molinaro.
Yes, sir.
My brother.
What a weekend, huh?
Great weekend. Although I do hate the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend more than almost any other day of the year.
Why is that?
I mean, because there's so much excitement and like good vibes and feeling. You know, the Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to Thanksgiving weekend. You got Thanksgiving, then you got the day off on Friday, and then, it's a holiday weekend, and then all of a sudden Sunday comes around, and you're like, oh, man, full week. You got a little bit longer until you get the holiday, until you get the next break. It's just a bad feeling because you look forward to that weekend so much.
I agree, man. It was and it was a fun couple days. Like, I'm not gonna lie, went out into the streets a little bit. Adventured around, saw people I hadn't seen in a long time. We did a lot of family activities too. Went to a Pacer game, Colts game. I haven't been to a Colts game in like a year and a half. So obviously it was a tough game to watch, but it was a good game at least, I guess, as they say, as the positive folks say.
You were Mr. Family Man, though, dude.
Yeah, man, we tried.
All over the place.
It was a good time. Built gingerbread houses. Tried to spell crypto on the roof. Ended up running out of space. And then it ended up being Club Rip instead of the crypto cave. Right? Yeah. I was like, well, it turns out I turned my gingerbread house into a nightclub.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't think that's been done before.
Yeah. That's I like that. Would you post a picture of that?
I was on my Instagram story.
Instagram story.
Getting heavy into it. Yeah, heavy into it.
Well, that sounds like a blast, man. Yeah, and I hope everybody out there had a great weekend as well. Thanks for being back with us. Speed Street. A reminder to give us a follow, give us a subscribe, like the show, rate the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Leave us a nice review. I got a review here that I really enjoyed, Connor.
Can't wait.
That came from actually Uncle Grumpy 2. Left us 5 stars. Said, great listen. I really like this podcast, mostly because of Connor and Joey's banter. You don't even need to be a big racing fan to enjoy it.
Hey.
Which is beautiful, and that sounds not grumpy at all, Uncle Grumpy 2.
Hey. Shout out Uncle Grumpy.
Yeah.
Huh?
So, exactly. That's the point. And I appreciate that comment because we talk about so much here. But also, again, a reminder why we ask you to do that is because it helps the show continue to grow. It helps us continue to be able to do more shows because then the algorithm says, hey, these guys are good. People like listen to them. Bada boom.
Boom.
There it is.
Hey, guess what also happened last week?
What?
Didn't I say hammer the Lions? Guess who covered? The Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Lions covered, baby.
Man, I was all over. I thought you did call that, but I was like, man, I really think they're going to get the first one done today. Chicago's an absolute just dog fest of NFL football, and somehow the Lions still choked it away.
I feel so bad for Detroit Lions fans. I'm not going to lie. I was ready to see a win on Thanksgiving. I thought Motor City Dan Campbell was going to get it done, but that was tough. Man, it was actually my worst weekend of football ever. Like I'm in this CBS Pick'em league where you pick who covers the spread.
Yep.
For the first time, I've been in the top 10 this year, and there's like 80 people. And for the first time in the season, I got 0 games correct.
Oh my God.
Until the Packers. Thankfully, I called the Packers and I called the Washington football team. But boy, it was my roughest weekend of picking who's going to win. And I don't know what is going on in the NFL, but it is hard to pick who's going to cover.
It really is. Yeah. Everybody talks about it.
Your poor Steelers. I had the Steelers.
God, I'm not talking about it. I don't want to talk about them. They make me sick. What I am excited to talk about, though, is my LSU Tigers hired Brian Kelly away from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Yeah.
We're big Brian Kelly guys, huh?
Well, here's the thing. And it was driving me nuts on Twitter and seeing online. People always got to gripe about something, Connor.
Absolutely. I've seen it before, and we'll see it again.
You'll see it again. You'll see it as soon as you look down at your phone from listening to this. People are always griping. So the main thing, people always said, well, Coach Orgeron, he is LSU. He's about as LSU as you can get. He's a Cajun through and through. But he's just not that good of a coach. He's a D-line coach. We got to get an X's and O's guy. We got to get a guy in here who really knows what's going on, how to run a team, right? All right, so you boot Coach O out after 2 years ago, had the best team in the history of the sport, 19-0, national champion, yada. Boot him out. Okay. Then all of a sudden you hire Brian Kelly and you got everybody online freaking out about because Brian Kelly looks like he doesn't like spicy food and they don't like the hire because he doesn't look like he's somebody who likes gumbo. My ass, dude. You can't have it both ways.
Absolutely not.
You booted out the most LSU guy possible in Coach O. Right? You just booted him out.
Gone.
And now you got to decide, all right? You got to pick. Do you want to win football games or do you want to be able to eat Cajun food with somebody? Like, Brian Kelly is a proven winner at literally every single one. It's D2, whether it's Cincinnati, whether it's Central Michigan, whether it's Notre Dame, historic winning coach. And you're going to complain about it because he doesn't, he looks not the part? Give me a break, dude.
Hey, it's all about putting W's in that win column. You know what I mean? Come on, win losses, you want the W's. That's it.
That dude.
And he's been successful. He's won a lot of games with Notre Dame. The guy has done his job.
I mean, we both grew up in Central Indiana.
Yes.
You remember the days very well, as I remember the days when Notre Dame was 3-9 consistently, 6-6, 5-7.
Yep.
They were on the doorstep of death. Like they were so irrelevant. They were worth nothing. And then Brian Kelly comes in. He has them undefeated in the national championship within 3 years of taking over the job. That's at Notre Dame. So don't give me this, well, he doesn't look the part. When he's going to come down to LSU, he's going to open up a whole new world. He's going to run a program again, and he's going to get LSU back to the national championship within 2 years.
Boom.
That's what Brian Kelly's going to do.
And you know what?
I'm going to have some Cajun food. I'm going to have some yats or whatever the hell you need tonight. And when that happens, I'm going to say, yeah, he likes spicy food. Get over it. National title again.
And for those who aren't watching on YouTube, Joey is wearing an LSU sweater and LSU hat right now. So go Tigers, as they say.
It's a big day, man. LSU. It's a big day. So I had to get that off my chest. I had to use this platform here to get that out.
I love that, man. I literally have written in my notes for this podcast, all it is football woes. And that was not only the NFL, but also college, what was going on there. There was a lot that was happening in football. I felt like it was such an electric sports weekend, though, overall. Like, there was so much going on. You had Michigan beating Ohio State.
Oh, man.
All kinds of, it was an electric experience.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing everyone's reactions to everything, I think is, on a holiday weekend, it feels like you're doing a little bit less. So maybe you are paying attention to what's going on the TV or the sports, the Twitter, the sports Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I enjoy seeing how hilarious people can get when they react to that stuff. And, it's a great time of year. We're heading to Christmas now. We're getting into December football. There's some games of snow on the field now. Everyone loves to see a bit of that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and Michigan, they're making their way to Indianapolis for the first time since the Big Ten championship game has been a thing at Lucas Oil. University of Michigan will be in town.
You know what? I'm a big Jim Harbaugh guy. I'm not gonna lie. Jim is a family friend of ours, and I have no connections to any colleges, but Jim has always been incredible to our family, and I think, as I told on this podcast, he's always been very supportive of racing. He's been involved with the race team before, and
Indy 500.
Loves the Indy 500. Yeah. So I'm very happy to Jim, and I would actually love to see him in Indy. I hope we can connect. I'm sure he's going to contact my stepdad, and hopefully maybe we can all have some dinner. That'd be great to have dinner with Jim Harbaugh again.
If I don't get the invite, at least let me FaceTime in, because I would love to do that.
We
maybe
might bring you to dinner with old Coach Jim.
A couple whiskey cokes, but I'll put them on me. I won't literally put them on me. I'll buy them. But you should do. What you should do is you should send Harbaugh the same text that he sent you. But just flip the script now.
Great idea.
Before your Indy 500 run.
Oh my gosh!
Send that to Harbaugh.
Coach,
there's
Connor here. Just wanted to let you know.
No better time.
This is your game.
Yeah.
You got this. We're going to the national championship, baby. I don't know.
I think you should do that. That'd be awesome. We come full circle here, man.
It's an exciting time in sports, man. It's an exciting time in sports.
It is. It's an exciting time for this show.
Yes.
Because we have our first guest today.
First guest
on Speed Street, hopping in on Speed Street. Super excited about it. Tell him a little bit about him.
So I have an awesome intro for this young man named Drew Powell, incredible actor.
Yep.
And that will be coming up right this very second. All right, guys, we told you that we were going to have a guest on Speed Street, a visitor to the street, Speed Street, that is. And we have found an incredible human being, an Indiana man, in fact, as well. Loves motorsport, but he's also been in literally every television show that has, I think, ever been on television. We're talking Gotham, Ray Donovan, Geostorm, Modern Family, NCIS, Hitman, Straw Dogs, Malcolm in the Middle. I think I saw CSI. I think I saw every single version of CSI. I don't know. This is like someone who I have really enjoyed getting to know over the last couple of years. Met him at the racetrack, have enjoyed watching him on the big screen. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, Drew Powell is here.
Hey, Drew Powell.
Drew. What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. I am honored to be the first guest on Speed Street.
Yeah.
I want a plaque right here in this beautiful studio.
Yeah, dude.
I want to immortalize this. Thanks.
Dude,
you guys are great.
It's awesome to have you here, honestly, because I wanted to have someone that I think has an incredible story to tell, like yourself, but also, who loves racing. Obviously, there's a lot of this podcast that is about, motorsport, IndyCar, stuff like that. I want to get into what you've done as an actor, but also, I want to hear about what was your first racing experience. I know you're very, very connected to Indiana, and I know you know some other drivers out in the field. But tell us about what was your first Indy 500 experience? Did your family love it? What was that? Where did that love start?
Yeah, great question. Like you boys probably understand. Maybe you grew up. I'm sure going to the race all the time. I grew up never being able to watch the race because I was always blacked out, which I still never understood. And so for me, the Indy 500 was about listening to it at somebody's barbecue on Memorial Day weekend, and then watching the replay afterwards. And it was the only race I watched all year long. Like I wasn't, because I remember the days of kart and then Indy kart and it split, and I didn't know which was which, and the drivers I couldn't understand what was happening. And so the first time I went was in high school with my buddies, and we ended up in the snake pit.
Oh, and, as you should.
I think everybody has to experience that at least once.
Oh, for sure.
I saw, and this is absolutely true, no less than 4 dudes with actual phrases, not words, like phrases shaved into their back hair.
Oh, yeah.
Less than 4. Yeah. One was like, Q95 is Indy's greatest rock and roll. I mean, like they really.
Just all from the Bob and Tom show.
It was a lot of back hair and a lot of people face down in the mud. But it was, what an experience. And there is nothing like the sound of those cars going around that track. And, we went and played the golf course for the first time for me.
Yes, that's right.
Earlier this year. And even just hearing the cars as we're walking up to the first tee, there is nothing like the thrill of that. So that was my experience was, a couple of times growing up, not a big, we loved it because I think just like people from Kentucky love the,
Derby,
the Derby. And so for me, it was then getting to know, because of Gotham, I had a driver reach out and we kind of became friends. And so it was one of those deals where it was like, hey, I kind of jokingly, like, I'll take you on a tour of the set if you get me into the Indy 500. He's like, okay. So he came out, and this is Simon Pageant we're talking about, and took a tour of the set. And then next thing I knew, I was at the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 on the grid before the thing, and I was like, well, I definitely got the better end of that deal. And then
I don't know, man. A lot of us think that would be pretty cool to be on set for a major television show. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to work those deals into some friendships too.
You're definitely going to come, both of you guys. But that changed the whole game for me, because then once I got to know you drivers, once I got to know you, and how, the intricacies of it, I was hooked, man.
Yep.
And that's the thing that people don't realize, because it's hard. It takes a minute to get into it. But once you do, man, every week, and now my whole family, even my extended family are into it. When Simon won, we were all at a big event for my parents. They got a scholarship named after them, and so we're up in Chicago, so I couldn't be there. But we're all watching it in the hotel room, and it was just intense. And so,
what a race!
Yeah, it was a hell of a race.
Holy smokes! Dude.
Exactly. So anyway, to answer your question, I am now an official full-on fan. I think it's just fun to see you guys. Like this year, watching you freaking, basically, I was like, well, he's winning. That's it. He's winning. 40 laps.
And
40
the party
laps.
Afterwards would have been great,
Oh, yeah.
Party afterwards was still great. Yeah. Despite not winning.
That's true. Drew, I invited Drew out that night, by the way.
Didn't see it.
Joe was there. That's fine. No big deal.
Is the sore spot.
We had Milo there, too. That was a shame.
Exactly. My buddy Milo.
2 months later, Connor's like, oh, yeah, Milo Ventimiglia was there. Ventimiglia was there. And I was like, wait.
Yeah,
he was in Indy?
Yeah.
In downtown Indy.
Yeah.
Jack from This Is Us was there. Yep. I still don't, that's crazy. Yeah, we missed you that night.
I know. My brother was in town. God rest him. He's still
alive. Holy cow.
Shit. Oh my God.
Did you just kill your brother?
I take it back.
Yeah.
I'm not superstitious. Hold on. Okay.
Hey, you got all the wood around here.
Exactly.
You're fine.
God bless him.
God bless him.
He's my younger brother, who is smarter and better looking, and also much more sensible. And I had some drinks with him and Simon at a sushi bar on the north side by ourselves. ourselves. Literally, the thing was they opened it up for us, which would have been great. Like, yeah, but it was not. And I'm like, let me go to the party. No, you're not going to the party. Just let me go to the party for a minute. So he wouldn't let me.
That sounds a lot like my story, though, man. Like with racing, we talked a lot about that this past year. I've always been a 500 guy, but then like there's just those few 500s that you go to that really it just clicks. Especially being from Indiana, right? You know, I mean,
what was your first
deal.
one that you went to?
It was actually my senior year, going into my senior year of high school. It was 2011 when Dan Weldon won after J.R. Hildebrand sent it right to the wall.
Down.
Turned 4.
Tough day for him.
So painful.
Yep, it was that one. So I've been to a lot ever since in the last 3 or 4.
Now, did you go with your buddies or with your family?
That first one was with my buddies.
Yeah,
because
that's a different experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're going into senior year of high school. You don't go with your mom and dad at 8,500. Come on,
you're not going to sit on a blanket in the stands with your boys.
You want to wear a tank top, sneak in some silver bullets, and just go ham, dude. You know what I mean?
Keystone lights, maybe.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Now, have you gone to any other tracks, any other races besides Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
One of the thrills of my life was, minor celebrity gets you a lot of great things, and one of them was
major
thing. No, very minor. I got to do the 2-seater with Mario at the Tricky Triangle to lead the race, and so
he was in the fastest seat in sports.
Yeah,
holy smokes, man!
Incredible. So the day before, or at some point, I had just done the thing on Saturday. Yeah. But this particular one was, and then what's great about it is you catch up to the back of the pack, and for that hot second, it feels like you're racing.
They're coming, man.
Green flag, baby. Here we go.
I don't know who I was. I don't know if it's you or somebody.
I was last for sure.
Whoever I was coming up to, I was like, "Hey, what's up?" That was a thrill. Although I did have this moment as we were going around, one of the hardest tracks, right? I mean, you're a driver.
It's very tough.
And I'm thinking, okay, at the time, Mario was 76 years old. And so I started comparing him to other 76-year-olds I knew. And I had a panic attack. I'm like, he's going to stroke out.
He is technically a member of the elderly community. Like that's a fact. That's a fact. He qualifies for those types of benefits in the cards, I guess, right?
Well, Connor was there, obviously, with me the time that I was. So I was not going to do the fastest seat in sports. I was going to do one of the ride-along, the 2-seaters in Nashville. Yeah. The inaugural Music City GP got set up, was going to do it, was going to ride with Mario, and Connor was there. I was talking with him and his lovely mom about 10 minutes before I was supposed to get in the car. And we had been there the night before, so of course in Nashville, you have a night in Nashville.
Yeah, have a night.
And so literally 10 minutes before I'm supposed to ride in the back with Mario Andretti, I'm like, I don't want to puke in my helmet and then have some puke somehow get up into Mario Andretti. We're going over a bridge. Old poor Mario Andretti, the legend, is going to have puke coming by. I was like, so I ran to the porta potty, yacked everywhere, but then I came back, got in line, only for it to rain and got canceled.
Oh, like, no.
It was he was in quite an interesting shape that morning.
Yep. Oh, no.
And it would have been awesome if you would have got that right. I tell you what, that would have been fantastic.
You're right. So
that hurts.
I growing up as a kid in Indiana, at what point were you like, you know what? Acting. I think entertainment. I think Hollywood. I think that's me. Because that doesn't really happen very often at all, especially from people in Indiana.
It's true. That's true. And the truth is, for me, it was from the beginning is when I got the bug. I mean, when I was in...
You're doing theater and stuff, right? Yeah. Like I read that in his bio. I was doing research on the internet last night.
Well done,
that's
Connor.
cool, yeah.
Nice. Good student.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. But that was it. But it started like in elementary school. I remember they in kindergarten, they brought me up in front of the whole school, and because I had the night before Christmas memorized. And so that was like my party trick. And so I did it for the whole school. And then I did the talent show. I had a little plaid shirt on and a cowboy hat, and my dad had to work, so he played the guitar, so he recorded the music on a boombox, and I had it on a piano bench next to me, and I sang Grandma's Feather Bed by John Denver, everybody clapped, and I'm like, this is great, I love this. Awesome. Yeah. So I was hooked early, but then it was like, your point is well taken, where it's like, I didn't really know anybody who had done this, and I it was like I didn't know how. So I was like, I'm going to be a sports journalist. That's the legitimate way to be on camera, right?
Exactly.
So I went and interned. I went to DePaul University. Go Tigers! And Wabash sucks. And
my brother-in-law went there.
Sorry to your bro-in-law.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. And But you know, I thought, okay, well, I guess I'll be. I interned at Wish TV, Channel 8.
Whoa!
was in the sports room as Mark Patrick was sports reporter back then, or anchor, and we were. Remember that? Yeah, you guys must have been like 4 years old when Jimmy Harbaugh almost took us to the Super Bowl.
Jim, that's our guy.
Oh yeah, I know.
And it rolled off Aaron Bailey's
comeback
chest, basically, against the Steelers. Neil O'Donnell and your Steelers ended up going to the Super Bowl, and I remember that was so. Anyway, my point is that then next I graduated college, and it was like I got this crazy opportunity to go and be a youth director of all things at a church in North Hollywood, and I was getting paid $15,000 a year, and I said, if you can find me a place to live, I'll come. And so I rented a room for $200 a month from this 85-year-old guy in his house up in the Hollywood Hills.
Nice.
Which sounds great, but the house hadn't been touched since like 1975. So, but it was all I needed. It was that push I needed, and I got Malcolm in the Middle like 6 months later, and I was off to the races.
So that's a funny story about Malcolm in the Middle, because Frankie Muniz. Big race guy, like big racing, like race car driver. Yeah, he tried to be a race car driver after like doing a bunch of acting.
No joke.
Yeah.
So like I found that because I didn't actually know that was like your first show, and like, do you still keep in touch with Frankie? Because I see Frankie all the time, like really randomly. Yeah, he came to the races in Phoenix. Like he was almost going to come to Long Beach this year. Like, I have a lot of respect for Frankie because he's always been cool. And like, man, he was such a huge star.
Oh yeah,
huge star.
That show was fascinating to me because this was my first show. I got what they call Taft-Hartley that got me in the union. And it was such a fascinating show because, like, you know, Bryan Cranston was a journeyman actor at that point.
Yeah.
You know, learning from Jane Krasmerick, same thing. So I'm watching them, you know, soaking everything in. And so then with those three kids, so you had, you know, Dewey, you know, the young kid who's, I think his parents were from Holland, something like that. And he was like, they were on him. He was like, no messing around.
Child
not 1
actor,
minute.
disciplined,
you know. Then you had the older kid, Reese. I can't remember his name. And he was like, had naked pictures, maybe not naked, but, you know, bikini pictures on his dressing room wall. And it was like, you know,
Wasn't Neil Patrick Harris in that show? Am I missing that? What?
No.
No,
this
wrong show, bro.
That was Doogie Howser. But then the oldest boy who Chris Masterson, he also went into racing for a hot second.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was but then Frankie was in the middle. He was like,
Obviously.
you know, not yeah, exactly.
That's why they called it the
They
show.
should have put that in the name.
Got it.
But from a standpoint of you know how he was, you know, he was kind of, you know, somewhere in between those two on the spectrum of how they were parented. And I remember one time the Pacers were playing the Clippers. He was a big Clippers fan.
Oh, yeah.
So his mom dropped him off at my house, and we went in my car to Staples Center, which was brand new back then. And he had these great seats, and we went and watched the Pacers and Clippers play.
Awesome.
And suddenly it's like, well, I'm this guy's guardian for the night. He was like 15 years old, so he couldn't drive, you know, but he was a sweet kid, maybe 14, and really sweet kid, really nice guy, smart. And I was always impressed with how he handled, because, you know, throughout the night, this was before cell phone cameras, so it was like people had the disposable cameras.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, it's Malcolm, can I take a picture? And he was always handled that better than I think most
For sure.
13, 14-year-olds would do. But the embarrassing part was I forgot my wallet, so I was like, hey,
You had this
Frankie,
like 14-year-old pay for
can I
everything.
borrow $10 for a Big Mac? And I feel like such a loser. I'll pay
Dude.
you back, bro.
That is so funny. I mean, I think like what a place to start. And I think from then on, obviously you've been in, like, as I said, been in so many things. What do you think, like, has it been tough to get to where you want to be? And like, have you got to where you want to be yet? Are you still looking for like, what's that next step? What's kind of like, we had this conversation earlier. I think we've talked a lot about on this show about how, you know, where I'm at in my career, like it's a tough spot to be. It's like, you know, do I have enough sponsorship? Like there's 7 billion people in the world and only 33 people get to suit up at the Indy 500 every year. Well, there's 7 billion people in the world and there's only like 4 or 5 main roles in each show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's so few people who get to do what you do. And so that makes it so challenging. And if you go to LA, well, guess what? Everyone wants to be an actor. So that's got to be a tough, basically a tough fight. You know what I mean? And what do you like? What do you think? Like, I think I've loved to watch you in a lot of that stuff, right? But I also think, you know, what do you want to do next? Like, what's the next show? What is it? Is it movies? Is it like a, you know, a headlining television show? What do you think?
Yeah. I was listening to episode, I want to say 7, when you were talking about, your future. And by the way, like, subscribe. Thanks.
From the same thank you. Yeah.
And but I was listening to what you were talking about with your plans for next year, and I really resonated with it, man, because the highs and lows, and this is not just true for you and I who are buddies, but all my other buddies who are professional athletes across all of the sports. There are so many similarities because we're doing a job that a lot of people would love to do.
Yes.
That's really hard, and you have to put your life on the line for it. Not in the sense of like life or death, but like I had to say like, okay, I'm leaving everything I know here in Indiana. I'm going to get in my Honda Accord. I'm going to drive across the country to a place where I don't know anybody, and I'm going to give this thing a shot, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, you knew what you were doing. You'd had years of it. But the point is that we're doing this thing, and there's no guarantee, that it's ever going to pan out. And so any success is worth celebrating. And like you said, it's really important to keep that perspective because oftentimes I'll get down and be like, or I'll see these. If I had a nickel for every show that I was the second choice, and I'm telling you, big ones, big movies, big life-changing things.
Name 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, give me some. Give me one. Give me one.
Jeez. Okay, on the spot.
Yep.
One of them was This Is Us.
Oh, wow.
They wanted me to play the boyfriend of the Chris Sullivan role.
Toby?
Toby. Yeah.
No joke.
And
oh my God.
I was on Gotham at the time, and so I was about to fly to test for it. They couldn't find the role, and they were like, we think you're perfect. And I'm like, let's go. I read that script long before it ever aired, and I'm like, this is going to be huge. Now, it's not necessarily like my kind of show, but I knew that with that script and that turn at the end of that pilot episode, you're like, oh my gosh.
You would have crushed, dude.
I would have loved it.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. But here's the thing. I had Gotham, and Gotham was so much fun. Like the stuff I got to do on that show.
Great cast, too. I mean, honestly, there's some really great people on that show. As I watched it, I enjoyed watching these people.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody on that show was so happy to be there. It was just, but, if you look, so okay, I would have had more fun, I think, in fact, I've talked to Milo and other guys, and not that they don't have fun on that show, but it's just a different thing. That's heavy drama all the time. We had drama where it's a comic book show, so I'm wearing sweet $5,000 suits and shooting rocket launchers. So, I'm having fun there. But from a business standpoint, This Is Us is a juggernaut. That show, and I'm so happy for Chris. He's a great guy and a great actor, and I couldn't be happier for him. But that's one where you go like sliding doors, man.
Yeah.
Another one was Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. I was going to play the first mate, and I was too tall. They didn't want the
too
guy,
tall to ride this ride, huh?
Exactly.
Goodness gracious.
They wanted a guy that was like shorter than Tom because in real life the guy was shorter than Tom, Captain Phillips, and so it was like. Did you get to read with Tom or anything at all? Did you? No, we didn't get to that point. No, it was. But they were like, they love you. And we did it. I auditioned a few times. That's how you can tell. Like if you audition and then they bring you back or they give it. Now it's all on
everything's a Zoom.
iPhone.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, so there's those. Another one. Right as I moved back from LA, right after Gotham was done, I was the director's choice for that show. Just Mercy with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan, who played the prosecutor.
Dang,
man.
And,
see, that's wild to think about, right? Because I always try to whenever you interact with people in different lines of work, right? Whether it's athletes or actors or whatever, you try to find some similarities, or even musicians, right? You try to find some similarities on where does your like I could have told you I was one race from being a Formula One driver. You know what I mean? Like it's things like that. It's crazy. But everyone has when we put so much effort into this stuff, you get so and obviously you have a great amount of talent. So then there's a reason why you get that close, right? And so it's very interesting to hear those things because I have felt what you feel for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think to look at that and compare them side by side is wild because a lot of people, when you look at acting and you look at, I think, just the movie production, television production, you see all these incredible actors and all these, everyone's having a great time. But you got to realize also, hey, there's a lot of those other people who were probably going to do that as well. But hey, guess what? Support them on their show too. You know what I mean? There's so many things to watch. That's why I think watching everything is awesome because you learn so much about so many different people. And obviously you see some characters and some people that end up on a lot of different shows.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see a lot of people and see how different you can be on screen or how different you can be performing your craft, right?
Right. And I always take pains to say all those people that did those jobs are awesome. It's never like, oh, screw them. But it is. it's from what we're talking about of how it would change your life. For sure. My being too tall for taller than Tom Hanks is the same as you getting a freaking tire to your car,
to my dome,
to your dome, with the Indy 500. So it's like, because those things ultimately, you don't get any credit for that, even though there is some bankable credit. People know that you led 40 laps of the Indy 500. People know that I was, that were involved. That if that guy comes up again, he was good.
Yeah,
but that doesn't pay your mortgage.
Yeah, but it is exciting.
Hopes and dreams don't pay your mortgage. I've never heard of that.
It does feel exciting though that on the flip side of the negative tire dropping out of the air, too tall for Tom Hanks. On the flip side of it, you're that close to, you know what I mean? There's one little thing close to being the Indy 500 winner, to landing that, Oscar-winning role or whatever it is, know? So
exactly,
I think that's very exciting.
And Joey, that's you hit the thing on the head for me, which is now I've been doing this for 20 years. It is important to keep perspective, and to celebrate the wins.
Sure.
Because it is so easy to get down on yourself. I think it's true for everybody, but certainly in this business when you because then the movie comes out and you're like, oh gosh, I get the dagger.
Or maybe the movie sucked and you're like, oh, that one, like, there we go. We got out of that one.
No, I didn't want that one deep down.
No, that was a terrible call. Yeah.
That was, good thing.
So I have an interesting question on since you've been on all these shows, right? And movies as well. First of all, I didn't realize you were in Hitman. I saw Hitman on HBO the other day. Well,
I was in the video game.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because I think I was like, wait a second.
Game. Yeah.
But again, you're in it, which is wild because I loved Hitman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you play it?
Oh yeah. No big deal. Yeah. I want to know of all the people that you've worked with, who do you think has been someone that you were like, this guy or girl really gets it. Like this person, there's a reason why they are either holding up those big trophies on those Sunday night award shows, or who is someone as well. Like I want to
brush with greatness.
Yeah, I want to hear who was that person and who do you think is undervalued. I know that's a lot, but go with the big one first. Who do you think has been the most just impressive human being to work alongside?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm gonna have to scan my.
You can name a couple if you
Rolodex. Golly. Okay, think Drew.
Definitely put you on the spot. I could have fed you these earlier, but I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be authentic.
I just wanted to stir some stuff around. Obviously, Ben McKenzie, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Gotham.
Yep.
Is there any? Going through the Rolodex here. Anybody on Malcolm in the Middle, Chicago PD?
I would say so. Let's go with one we talked about, Bryan Cranston. Now,
there you go.
So I had the interesting opportunity to talk to him, during my days. That was my still wide eyed. Where do I stand? How do I get to my trailer? What do I do? And he was very helpful as a guy that if you read his book, it's fascinating. How he was such a journeyman actor, and then gets to Breaking Bad, which everybody knows him from, and then he's off to the races. And his whole back half of his career has been this juggernaut, right?
Crazy.
And he genuinely is a great dude and a guy that was very helpful. I remember because I did about 13 episodes that first season. And I remember as a birthday present, his wife was an actor at the time. Maybe she still is, but as a birthday present, he funded a movie that the two of them starred in. And we all went to a movie theater on the studio lot in CBS Radford, and we watched this. And it was such a cool thing because he was clearly loved his wife, and they did this thing, because it's not cheap to make a film. And it was really, I was really impressed by that. And then later on, he was at a wedding of a dear friend of mine. And he was in full Walter White bald with the goatee.
Oh my gosh,
and
it's incredible.
And we chatted for a long time at that wedding, and reminisced. And he told me a fascinating thing, kind of about this sliding doors thing. He said, "I wouldn't have been Walter White if it wasn't for this. I want to say Toyota, but it was a car commercial that just worked out just right." So he was he was doing this commercial because he was still doing commercials back then. And he got cast. Vince Gilligan wanted him for this episode of The X-Files. So we're going back long years and years before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that theme.
So he had the kind of, how they had the main guest star in those roles. They had the weird, whatever his was. but then it wasn't going to work out because the Toyota commercial or the Chevy or whatever it was was going to overlap. And he was devastated. He was like, I'm not going to be able to do this movie or this show, this episode. And then at the last minute, it worked out. He came back from Vegas or wherever he was shooting it, and he worked out and he got there. And that changed his life. Not the Breaking Bad. Because if he doesn't do that episode of X-Files with Vince Gilligan, who then remembered him all those years later for Breaking Bad and who he had to fight for. I mean, Gilligan fought for, they didn't want Brian, this guy from comedy.
Right.
We don't want him to do
from
this.
Seinfeld?
Yeah, exactly. We don't want him to play this heavy drama character. So, and that's one of the other things is that it's frustrating, and I'm sure frustrating for you guys too, is when you can do the job. I had a job recently where it was for this pilot, and it wasn't the like a down the line network TV choice in terms of physical characteristics. Yeah. So they. But you and I both know, like, it's way more interesting if you have the thing that you don't expect, that you haven't seen a million times, and you can do the job as a race car driver. You can hit the jokes, whatever it is, and you don't get the chance to do it because it's like, that's what I love about Brian's story is that he got the chance to do it. He got his, and it wasn't easy, and people had to fight for him. But that is something I hold on to. So he's a great one. That's easy.
That's awesome. And then I know, like, you're speaking of like who's up and coming, right? Or who do you think is going to be that next level superstar? Like, you're good friends with like Millie Bobby Brown, right?
Yeah.
And she's obviously really talented.
Yeah.
So what is there someone that you've worked with, like, or whether it's a child actor or like someone who's young and up and coming, like, who do you think, I guess, is like going to be a really, really massive thing over the next, not that Millie Bobby Brown isn't already massive.
That's a unique one. I mean,
but she's still like a child.
Exactly.
Like,
I know. It's so wild. We reconnected recently after several years. I met her in a green room of a Comic-Con. I had my guitar out because I was doing this musical, which most people don't know exists, but it's out there, called Wonderland. It's this musical I did. Nice. And I play this like really weird ice cream man, like with the hat and the whole thing.
I'm all in on that.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, very wild. And I end up singing a song at a lesbian biker party. So,
nice.
like, I mean, I'm just telling you, the hits you got to check it out. Wonderland, go check it out.
I'm
wherever you get
in.
your movies. But so she comes up, and she was 12 or 13 at the time, and just comes up.
Pre-Stranger Things?
No, this
is middle.
but like beginning of Stranger Things. So, that started at the beginning of the summer, right?
16, 2016.
Whatever that was. That beginning of that summer, it was whenever the election was actually. So
it was summer 2016.
Yeah.
And so it had hit, and it was huge. And all the kids were there at this Comic-Con, and people were like, "Whoa!" Even the other like actor stars were like, because it was so
massive,
it just was like a supernova, like when that thing hit, and it was worth it. I'm a huge fan.
Love the show.
Now my 10-year-old son is a huge fan, so we're watching it all over again.
Nice.
But she just came over, and she's like, "Do you know Amy Winehouse?" And I was like, yeah, "Sure, I got a phone. Let's learn it." So we start singing, I'm no good. Meet me downstairs at the bar at home. And she's crushing. And I'm like, who is this girl, man? I mean, she has so much charisma and talent in that it factor. So I was not surprised at all that, and her story is pretty crazy too, that talk about like going for it. Like her whole family basically put their lives on hold and like, all right, we're going to do this. So,
you know what I want? Maybe you could put in a word with her. I want her to play young Princess Leia, origin story, Millie Bobby Brown, young Princess Leia.
Oh, actually,
she would rip, dude.
That's a great choice.
I respect that.
That's a great choice.
Absolutely.
If Disney knows what they're doing, they will make that so. Because that's a great choice.
So let's get back to you, Drew, real quick. Let's get back to you. You hit Malcolm in the Middle. You go out to L.A. You leave Indiana, chase this huge dream, right? And then all of a sudden, like at your 10-year reunion, are you coming back? Drew Powell, the actor, you've seen me on TV. You're like,
you might know me from such shows.
Right. Is that happening for you? Like you come back to Indiana and you're like, yeah, I made it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes. I mean, what was always fun to me was kind of that process, the first 10 years of, I do Malcolm in the Middle, and I did, whatever the show was, a Cold Case, or I did VIP with Pamela Anderson.
Oh, all right.
Also,
I didn't see that one on the list.
One of my biggest regrets.
It's a different website.
One of my biggest regrets was her brother was kind of a recurring role on that show. And so he was in the scene with me. And he's like, hey, man, they're having a party. Tommy and Pam are having a party at their house in Malibu. You want to come?
Wow. Yep.
And I didn't go.
Dude,
I know.
How does that happen?
I know.
Imagine how much your life could have changed.
I know.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. We're not really sure what direction, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah.
man.
And my buddy Sebastian Stan is just finished playing Tommy, which apparently was intense.
He looked.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen the preview for that?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's incredible.
Dude,
Tommy
he's
is a
spot
friend,
on.
and I
He's
can't wait to see
spot
this.
on.
Yeah, you know Tommy?
I know Tommy, yes.
Oh,
and
man.
Of course he knows Tommy.
No, it's-
Between
it's
the two of you guys, I think I have a connection to every single person in the world right here in this room.
anything that has to do with Motley Crue, I'm gonna watch it.
I love
because like The Dirt on Netflix, tremendous
Let's
film.
go.
And I was like, yeah, that looks like still like how Tommy's living now.
Yeah, yeah.
Except I mean he's married, but like my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
He's,
it's
and
wild.
I like the guy. He's really nice. Honestly.
Right.
He's a great
But
guy.
then, like, is that is it?
So
you get
when I would come back, I would do these things, but the things that people would, especially back in Lebanon, would talk about most were the commercials. Like, I do a commercial like, oh, yo, I saw you in that Chevrolet commercial, man.
Boom.
That was incredible.
I bought a Chevy Cruze because of you, bro.
what?
So it was
incredible.
always the commercials that were the bigger deal. Always. Yeah.
That's hilarious,
Yeah.
man.
I bet a buddy called like, yeah, I was at the strip club and saw a commercial. One of your commercials come on. We all went crazy. And nobody knew what was going on.
Yep. I love that.
Okay,
Hey,
all right. I'm glad I
hit
can be
at
a
the
part of your
local-
night.
Yeah.
That's
Big hit at the local
hilarious,
strip
man.
joint.
Yeah.
Before we got, we've kept you for too long. Got a couple
I
more
could do this all
questions.
day. Come on, you know that.
One,
I've really enjoyed this conversation.
yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
I'm learning a lot myself. I think it's great.
we know you're a big motorsport fan, but we also know that you're a very big Colts fan, as you're rocking right now, and Pacers fan.
Yes, indeed.
Give me the Drew Powell State of the Union right now for Indianapolis professional sports, man.
Yeah.
What do we got to do here?
Where are we at? We were both at the game on Sunday, Colts game.
Yeah.
You also went to the Pacer game, but it was tough to watch that. It was
Sunday.
tough.
And
We
yeah.
support our Colts, but it was tough.
a tough Sunday, man. And this team is so. As I mentioned to you guys before, I ran into, as you do, this is like, all my friends back in LA are like, what is this life you live when you go back to Indiana? And I love it because I love coming back here for so many reasons. I think Indiana's this misnomer of it's a flyover state. I think people come, and it's true, like when they came for the Super Bowl, you guys know,
Oh, yeah.
they come and they're like, wait a minute, this place is great,
Yeah.
and it's a great place to come back to. It's a great touchstone for me, whether I'm in New York or in London or LA or London, wherever I am, to be back here. I love it. And I love, I love that my son now gets to experience that. So he gets to come back and be with his grandparents and his nephews, his cousins. And, so I have a lot invested in being here. I wish I could live here. I wish we shot movies in Indiana.
Right.
And there's some coming. But in terms of the sports world, this Colts team, I believe in it. I believe in them. I do. And when you see, like, against the Bucks, us kill ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what
always the
hurts
worst.
the worst. It's because we were the better team. I believe that.
Double-digit lead, man.
We were the dominant team. Absolutely.
And the other thing I was very much aware of is that turnovers not only kill because of a switch of possession, the energy in that building was sucked out with every turnover. And then the defense tried to build it back up, and then the turnover, and then it would be sucked out again. And listen, I just did a voiceover for the Colts this morning. I was at the facility, which was really cool, and never been there before. And
You talked to Jim Irsay?
I did not. No, did not talk to Jim. I was over in the marketing wing.
Okay.
They didn't let me because I wanted to go in like Hard Knocks. Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I even wore my
on
jersey that said
HBO.
Grundy on the back. I'm like, let's go. But they wouldn't let me anywhere near there. They're smart. They're smart. But I was doing a thing for talking about fans, and they were very nice to give me seats, because they don't have to pay me. They just know that if they give me tickets, I'll do whatever they want.
Hell yeah, yeah.
Free seats,
And
guy.
I was sitting with these diehards in section 117, and these guys, first of all, my son and cousins learned a whole bunch of new language, particularly as it pertained to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But also they're like, yeah, we've been doing this for 30 years. We came over from RCA,
Wow.
these people live and die with this team, and they the fan base in Indiana knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
and it was fun to watch that. So I think we're going to make the playoffs. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. Pacers are a little bit more of an enigma. I do not know what is going on.
It's just
Don't you feel like the first game of the season was the microcosm for them?
Absolutely.
Like, played
Yeah.
great, should have won, didn't at the end.
No,
and
yep. I texted my buddy last night. This team is just impending doom. No matter what good is going on throughout the game, you're like, at some point, the doom is coming. And
could they have beat the Lakers? Absolutely.
Yeah, like just beat the Lakers. Should have won last night. Scored 21 points this second. I mean, we can get on a whole thing about that. But I don't know what's going to happen with the Pacers. But I do love that somebody like yourself, who, it could be so easy to, be out in LA, be a world traveler. You could hop in with the Lakers or you could hop in with whatever's going on and you stay true. You stay true. And I love that. I appreciate that a lot.
So before we let you go, let us know what can we be looking forward to for you? I know you just texted me about a short film that you did. It's on YouTube. That sounds great. And so just let us know where we can follow you, where we can find you. What are we looking for next? Is there a pilot we need to be watching for? What's going on? Yeah. What can you tell us?
Yes, hot off the presses. Yes, the short film is a unique one. I did it as a kind of a character experiment, and then it's a really great thing they're hoping to get shortlisted for the Oscars called Champ. It's on YouTube. I think it's only on YouTube for a limited time, so it's definitely on for the next I think few weeks. It's called Champ. It's a short film on YouTube. And then the thing I'm really most excited about is a movie I did this time last year in Oklahoma City called Unbreakable Boy. And it's with Zach Levi, who played Shazam.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And Patty Heaton from Everybody Loves Raymond.
No way.
And Megan Fahey, who's a great, there's an up-and-coming actress who I think is amazing. And then this kid, Jacob Laval, who... It's about this kid with autism who also has brittle bones syndrome. It's a true story this guy wrote about his family and kind of how they fell apart and then came back together. And this kid, because of his autism and his worldview, is always so happy and so positive and so much energy that kind of kept them together and, was truly unbreakable, even though, I think he's up to something like 70 broken bones, in his life. Wow. It's an incredible story. His mom has that same syndrome. So osteogenesis imperfecta it's called. But this movie has so much heart and we kind of fit it in before this Kurt Warner movie. I don't know if you've seen the ads called American Underdog. It's the same. Zach is in that one too. Same production company, Lionsgate's the studio. And so the premiere of our trailer is going to be in American Underdog on Christmas Day. And then we premiere March 18th in theaters everywhere. And it's a film that I can say unequivocally, take your family, go and just have a nice, heartwarming story. I play a really interesting character that I don't want to give away. But it's...
Can't get all the secrets today.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, am I excited already.
It's not that big a deal, but I don't want to mess up the reveal. But
that's all right.
Let's just put it this way. It's one of my favorite characters I've ever played. And it was a real blessing in a dark time, for pandemic. I didn't think we'd work at all last year. Sure. And then I end up doing my favorite movie I've ever done. So
that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
You never know. Sliding doors, bro.
Sliding doors, man. Absolutely. Drew, thanks so much for the time, dude.
Buddy.
Taking it. First guest. This is a great combo, man.
I really enjoyed this entire conversation.
Yeah, we're honored to have you. And I know that we're all pals here, so I know we'll be chatting again. I hope we'll be chatting again.
I hope you'll let me come back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah. Drew Powell.
Good job, you guys.
We thank Drew Powell, the Indiana native, our friend, our pal, Drew Powell, for coming in today. What a great conversation.
I mean, honestly, I think as a first guest, that was great. I know I promised Tucker Barnhart, but I think Tucker will be on next week.
He did promise to come back.
He did promise to come back next week, so that'll be great. But man, Drew has an incredible story to tell. Talking about a guy from Indiana who has made it to the top level. I mean, he has really been in some incredible shows. Like I watched Gotham. Like Gotham was definitely, I think, one of the big shows recently that I watched him on. I mean, talk about being in a comic book show or movie anyway is like awesome. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that, and we definitely appreciate him coming on because it's hard to like. I feel like it's hard. It's been hard to really figure out who we want to have on this show because we want to have someone that I think, if we had another racing driver on, everyone's heard those stories before, you know what I mean? But if we can get someone different who, again, you heard his connection to racing, right? So we have someone that loves racing, that is connected to the sport, but has his own story to tell. I think that's very unique.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we talked about it too with him, but just I can't get over, how many people grow up and are like, man, I'd like to be in movies. I'd like to be an actor.
That's me right now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then, but then how many people from Indiana have that same thought? Very few. And then all of a sudden you make it. I mean, that is a very, very fine line of people who actually do it. So it's very cool.
It's true, man. I think I don't really know many actors from Indiana. I knew one girl one time who ended up being an actress, and she was, again, really, really cool. Because I think, again, if you're an actor or an actress from Indiana, obviously everyone says people from the Midwest, we got great Midwest hospitality. So I think it's not, a lot of people in LA, sometimes you meet them and you're like, oh, these guys are kind of douchey. You know what I mean? Like it's not very nice people, but these, these folks definitely know, they've grown up in Indiana. They know, how great people are here. And that was awesome. So I'm glad we got to do that. I'm excited to talk to some more people as we keep going. And, as we wrap this up here, we still have our Indy 5 Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 Indy 500 driver of the week. Are you ready for it?
Would not be a show without that, yes.
I mean, this is fantastic, by the way, because Corey Witherill, one of our previous Indy 500 drivers of the week, he reached out to me. He said he listened to the show and loved the mention. And he's talked about his deal with Radio Shack, and it was hilarious. I was like, no way. He said they got the sponsor last minute on the grid, and like after they qualified. It was such a great story. I was like, hey, we appreciate Corey listening.
That's phenomenal. Thanks, Corey.
IndyCar last week posted an article about Corey Witherill again, so maybe they were listening too. Who knows?
It's all coming around.
We got a lot of good press for Corey after mention on the Speed Street. But this is from the 1983 Indy 500.
Okay, we've been a little bit more recent.
Yeah, we're going back to the older days just because I picked a random year. Mm-hmm. This was my dad's first Indy 500 as well.
Okay, nice time.
This is Don Whittington.
This guy sounds rich as hell.
Don Whittington. He finished 27th, and I think I believe he has a brother. There's the Whittington brothers. They might have been running their own race team. So you could be right. Don Whittington, Whittington.
See, I got him right here. And when I first heard that name, I thought two things. I thought, one, this is Don Whittington of like the Whittingtons in London, Whittington Estate, who they are just loaded over there, and they have tea and crumpets all the time, or Don Whittington was a
gangster.
Hey there, Don Whittington. It's the Southern guy, just Don Whittington down there in Texas. And my second gut feeling was correct. Don Whittington. His actual first name is Reginald Donald Whittington.
Wow.
Like Don.
See, I did not know this.
Yep. An American former racing driver from Lubbock, Texas.
Yep.
Shout out Red Raiders, who won the 1979 24 Hours of Le Mans.
All right.
With his brother Bill Whittington and Klaus Ludwig.
See? Whittington brothers. I knew there was a Whittington brothers race team or racing affiliation.
So let's get in. Yeah, that's got to be. Wow, that is very cool.
Yeah.
24 Hours of Le Mans with your brother.
I mean, that's big. Winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans is no joke.
Not at all. All right. So he raced in 5 Indy 500s.
Oh, wow.
His first year was 1980, but we're talking 1983 here.
83.
So he was, his chassis was March.
Okay.
He started 27th in 1983, and he finished 27th.
Probably mechanical failure of some sorts. These things happen.
My man's consistent.
But hey.
Old Don Whittington.
Old Don.
His best start was 6th the year after, 1980. Well, actually not the year after. He took a year off or didn't qualify the next year. 1985, started 6th, had some more issues, finished 24th. But, Connor, in 1982, my man started 8th, finished 6th.
Wow. All right, Don.
So top 10 there.
Let's hear it for Don.
For Donnie.
See, I'm learning things. I like this section. I like this segment.
It is fun. There's a lot of history here. We got people. We have a lot of success, it seems, between Corey and then between Ricky Treadway.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some success here with some ties to the program, and I love it.
Hey, you know what? We're all about trying to educate the people. You know what I mean? We want to get our Indy 500 history out there. We want to make sure that these drivers who put their lives on the line to race get the respect they deserve.
Yeah, that's a great point. I
like that.
We are also less than 6 months away from the greatest spectacle in racing, 106th running. Very, very excited that the countdown has begun. I was thinking about too is with Drew being our first guest. For those who rate and review the show or who are listeners, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, send me and Connor a note. Be like, hey, I think this person would be a great guest to have on. I would love to hear about their motorsports background. That'd be phenomenal. We could take that into consideration, have some more fun with that. So again, thanks to Drew Powell for stopping by. Again, you can watch that conversation on YouTube, Joey Molinaro. All the shows go up on my YouTube channel under Speed Street with Connor Daly. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so please follow, subscribe, leave us a rating, leave us a review, tell us what you like. If there's something you don't like, maybe you do that too if you really feel the need. But thanks, guys. I mean, we're continuing to grow, and we're making something out of this.
This has been a lot of fun. We appreciate the support on this show, and we will keep it going. Today was definitely something that I think people, that's why they do podcasts, because you learn something, you get to speak to interesting people.
For sure.
And I can't wait to talk to, Tucker Barnhart if he's still coming next week. So I'm excited.
We're going to hunt you down, Tucker. All right, guys. Appreciate it. We'll be back next week on Speed Street.